To begin with, I am profusely elated to introduce Mr. Thomas Kuruvilla. He is a member of the Global Board of Arthur D. Little and is responsible for its operations in the Middle East. Mr. Thomas is also the head of the strategy and organization practice in South Asia and Middle East. He is also a part-time faculty at various Great Lakes Institute of Management, Chennai, and also a member of Industry Advisory Panel of SP Jain School of Global Management. Sir, kindly do the honor of rendering the keynote address. So please.
So you can see the slide, economic implications of COVID-19, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, sorry for the delay. I felt that something was not correct. I wanted to have the presentation, correct presentation for you all. So first of all, thank you very much for the introduction and this privilege to be able to spend some time with all of you. Really a pleasure, especially Joshua was a classmate of mine 25-30 years back. So it's really happy to be here today. Good morning to all of you, and I really hope all of you are healthy and maintaining social distancing, which is nothing else will save you as of now, unfortunately. So I think all of you should give importance to social distancing and maintain that. And so far the arrangements have been so great, so I'm so thankful to all of you to arrange such a discussion. I can see around 90 participants on this call, so it is quite good. So let me get into the discussions. Yeah. I'm trying to change the slides again. The slide has changed on your side?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah. So this is just, I suggest all of you to keep the microphone on mute because I understand there are 90 people on the call and the video feed can be switched off in case the connection is quite weak. I genuinely prefer to have a Q&A versus talking, but the organizer insisted that I talk for a while before we get into a Q&A because, as you know, consultants can keep speaking for a lot of time and may not be what you want to hear. So my preference is to understand what you may want to know and then concentrate on that. But however, I will spend maybe 10 minutes introducing the topic and then open the floor for the discussion. For sure, please unmute for questions and discussions. What I'm going to present is not any public data because I think all of you may have a lot of data, may have a lot of information and publications. What I'm going to share is some of the studies that we have done. We have, since the COVID has started, again, as a consulting firm, we have supported multiple clients in looking at their business models and what needs to be changed. And I'm just summarizing some inputs from those studies and we can elaborate them as we go into the discussion. Yeah, I hope that is fine. Good. Today, I wish to concentrate on 4 ideas, and then we can discuss that later, even on a one-to-one basis, in case somebody is interested to discuss these topics. The first point I wanted to make is that I think with the advancement of connectivity, technology, and artificial intelligence, businesses should have revamped or digitalized their business model long time back, right? And as you know, people are very much against change management. They want to continue what they are doing. They don't want to take advantage of what is happening and change their fundamental business model because people tend to be very uncomfortable changing things, right? But COVID-19 has really accelerated this and has not given some option to people that whether you should change or you should not change. And I'm making a very disturbing statement here that human intervention is generally a disturbance to business, right? If you don't have to intervene, and if you can let a business run automatically based on artificial intelligence, based on technology, let it run. Anytime a human intervenes in a business, it is a disturbance unless it is the right intervention. And COVID-19 is now forcing people, because of social distancing, because of restriction on traveling, saying that, wow, the way you can interact with the business is getting limited, and let us relook at how we can run the business. And in my view, this was something that people should have thought about a bit earlier and need not have waited for COVID-19 to come in for you to start experimenting and changing the business model. Yeah. Again, another very drastic statement I'm making here, but this is again based on studies that we have done. If new business models are implemented correctly, and I'm now talking about the steady state situation of businesses. I'm not talking about the situation today, because fundamentally the economic output has dropped significantly. GDP is dropping by 2030. It has dropped in Singapore by 50% in the last quarter. So I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about once the COVID-19 situation is over, hopefully it will be over very soon, and business gets back to the norm, and everything related to digitalizing their business, implementing the new business model, the value of most businesses will increase by 30 to 40%. And I can go through many industries, many sectors, and explain to you where this incremental value of 30 to 40% is coming up, and it can be explained by numbers, by streamlining the processes, and it tell you exactly where this value addition is coming from. It is primarily, the benefit is more where the capital investment is high. That means you have huge infrastructure investment. That is where the value to the business is significantly higher versus a service industry where the operating or the daily running expenses are high. The savings may be a bit lower, but still significantly higher, right? If the value of the business is not increasing because everybody is going to change their business model, then you just cannot make more money, because your competition also will change their business model. So in case the value of the business is not increasing, then the price of services will go down, right? So fundamentally we are creating value. So if the company that creates value doesn't have competition, the value will be captured by the shareholders, right? But if there is significant competition, then the price will come down and the value will be captured by the customers. But fundamentally what I'm saying is, by implementing a digital business model or a digitalized business model, there is a value increase of 30 to 40%. And I can give you a very simple example of e-hailing, Ola. Right, I live in Kerala. Right, anytime I go home, before Ola came in, the taxi prices was around 500 rupees to wherever I wanted to go. Now it is 200 rupees. Right, there is a drop of 60%. Right, versus a regular taxi available in the airport, versus if you take a digitally enabled business model for taxi services, the price has dropped by 60% for exactly the same service, even more convenient, right? So I'm just giving a simple example of changing a business model can drop the price by 50 to 60% by taking a very simple taxi service from the airport to your home, and it is much more convenient. You can sit in your flight or just coming out of the airport and just order the taxi, and by the time you come out, it is available for you. Much more convenient, 60% cheaper. Everything is fine. So that's where I'm coming from, and I can prove this for almost every business based on the casework we have done, right? Now, when we say that we should try to eliminate human intervention, what it means is it is eliminating human intervention from repetitive, predictable activities. Because today, with artificial intelligence, with technology, with connectivity, everything that is repetitive, everything that is predictable can be automated and handed over to machines. There is no need for human to handle that, which means that if you implement a digital business model, what people will do will be much more value-added activities, which means the value that you contribute is higher, and technically you should be getting a higher compensation. So so people try to talk about, when you automate, I'm losing job. That is a very short-term, sorry to say, a stupid argument. What really should happen in the long term is, when you automate, you are automating the repetitive, predictable, low value added activities, which means you're releasing human capital to do value added services, which means the contribution by the human effort to the economy is improving, and hence he should be technically compensated higher. So what I'm saying is, it is not good. It is not that it is bad for labor. It is good for labor, because you will get higher compensation in the long run, right? And the last point is, again, it is a bit generic, and I remember my classmate again, Suresh Prabhu, mentioning this exactly the same point, fully aligned with what he mentioned yesterday. I listened to his presentation, very amazing presentation, and he maintained the same thing, right? The capacity to adapt, innovate, and reinvent is mandatory to survive and grow, right? So considering the first 3 points that I have mentioned, every single business should be committed and should develop the capacity to run their business in a digitalized fashion, following the new business model, right? And this is what I wanted to present in the next 7-8 minutes. These themes, I'm just going to give you a bit more details on these topics, right? Now, before getting into specific business models, I just wanted to share some data which all of you are aware, but I hope all of you are aware or should know that what is happening today is unprecedented in the history of mankind. I don't think ever in the history that you had a population of 1.3 billion people locked down for 2 months. I don't think so. So people think that it is a repetition of 1914, 1919 or 2007, 2008. It is not correct. What is happening has not ever happened in the history of mankind, and we need to understand that, and we cannot just learn from what has happened in the past and what people have done in the past. You need to learn something for now. Things are fundamentally different, right? I don't want to get into the remaining data here because these things are easily available. I can come back to that if anybody is interested during the Q&A. One more quick input is that there are a lot of discussions about the recovery pattern for the Indian economy. And based on what is happening, it was not a one-time lockdown. It was one lockdown, then you opened up the economy, then you are locking down. So there are definitely going to be multiple waves of economic downturns and slight upturns. And again, so most probably, these are again generic economic recovery patterns across the globe. And we believe that what India should be planning for should be a W-type recovery pattern in which the economy will slow down and recover and slow down multiple times, because it is not going to be in one-time lockdown. It is going to be multiple lockdowns over a period of time, right? And just one more number on the GDP. We have done very extensive analysis and happy to share these details again. I will share this presentation I'm making. It has a lot of backup material. I'm presenting only 10 to 12 slides, but it has more than 100 slides. I will share it with the organizers and you can share it with the whole audience. There's nothing confidential in this, so that if you want to get more details of what I'm presenting, it will be available in the presentation, right? And the GDP drop is happening somewhere between 50 to 60% in the very short term, and the average drop per annum is expected to be around 10%. One statement I wanted to make, it may not sound very good, that the economic stimulus that is given by India in the COVID-19 situation, even though people argue that it is 10% of GDP, it is not correct. We are not comparing it with the right values. It is one of the worst in the world, unfortunately. If you take the breakup of the 10% stimulus that is given and compare it to the similar stimulus package, the other countries are giving much more economic stimulus, while India is giving only 10%. And I'll just show you one more slide. What other countries are giving, which is called between 5, 6, 7, 10%, is equivalent to only 1% of what India is giving, right? Because the way the number is being presented gives an impression that there is a 10% economic stimulus, which is not correct. You have to remove many components in the economic stimulus, because it is just differing long-term spending, differing or liquidity or guarantees are being given. The immediate fiscal impulse that is given is very low. It is only 1%. So relying on the government stimulus and subsidy to turn around the business is at least in the short term, it is not going to work, because the government is not doing much. So it is why I'm saying this is it's not related to the data. It is for people to really understand that you really need to take care of your business. You need to adapt your business to the COVID-19 situation. Nobody is helping you out. The government, as of now, what they have done is not sufficient. Unless they make some fundamental changes, that the business will not recover in India, right? One more input on the impact on the various sectors. It is very, very different, and this is again quite maybe quite obvious that I feel that there is a lag on the slide changing, because I have the YouTube live also on. Do you see a slide which shows the percentage drops by various sectors?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you see 80 to 60%, 60 to 40% on your screen now, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Okay, because on the YouTube live, it's lagging a bit. Sorry. Yeah. So Good. So the 80 to 60% is where you have the maximum drop happening on the aviation and tourism and hospitality sector, and the dip is varying across multiple sectors. Again, there's a lot more analysis on this, and which can be shared later. Now, getting into the new norm, before we get into the benefits, I just wanted to share one input that there's a lot of studies on the environmental benefits, and it is very surprising. I've just shown a picture on what was the situation before COVID and after COVID, and I think we can already see a benefit, environmental benefit from the lockdown that is happening. I'm not saying the lockdown is good, but it has an economic, environmental significant benefit from what is happening. Few more inputs based on some survey we have done. People are really getting more comfortable with the digital buying. Usage of digital channels have doubled than what used to happen before COVID-19. 86% of the consumers are happy with the digital channels, and 75% of them have who are new to digital channels continue to remain, will continue to be on digital channels even when the economy is back to normal, right? That is on digital buying. On work from home, again, a quick survey result, 77% of the people are happy to work from home. 50% will continue to work from home. But at the same time, majority of them, it's not a significant majority, around 55-56% of them feel that working from home compromises the outcome. So the argument of working from home is more effective and more efficient and contributing to the business more than versus working from the office doesn't seem to be correct. I even saw an article which one of my friends just shared on WhatsApp today, in which people are already questioning whether working from home is really good. So that is something that we need to really think about it, and maybe working from home should not be generally considered to be very good unless it's very special situations in which the interactions need not be tremendous and you can continue working at home, right? Now, I'll quickly enter into the digital transformation topic, right? What is digital transformation, right? It is fundamentally getting the benefit of technology and relooking at how do you manage your business, right? I can go back to the same Ola example, improving the customer experience, customer value proposition. You're optimizing the capital utilization by maybe having lesser number of taxis to service the number of same customers. The process is getting more efficient. You can start having more different business models. Today, the taxis are used as courier companies. The taxis are used to provide food. So you're having enhancing new business models. It's a very simple example, but this is a very good example of a digital transformation in a taxi service, what is happening to Ola, just to explain some of the terms. Yeah. Again, to share some thoughts before getting into a bit more details, as I said in the beginning, human intervention for repetitive, predictable activities. I'm making a very drastic statement to prove the point. It is a disaster and it is prone to mistakes, right? I know it's a bit aggressive statement to make it. I just wanted to drive the point. But what is very important is that once everything is digitalized, any changes can be corrected for once for all. You don't have to train people when new people are coming in because it is taken over by the machine. The machine automatically learns and fine-tunes and adapts and all of that. And as I mentioned, human intervention should be only restricted to value-added services, and the compensation that people get can go higher, right? Now, very quickly, I will share some case studies to share some numbers to validate what I have mentioned, right? We just finished a study for Dubai future of mobility for 2071. Don't get surprised by the year 2071, because that is the year, that is the 100th year of Dubai's existence. Dubai was formed in 1971, and hence they wanted to do a strategy for 2071. And what has been decided, again, initially there was a lot of resistance to push through this complete e-hail. Actually, the ruler of Dubai did not approve Uber and Careem. Careem is the equivalent of Ola. Ola is an Indian e-hailing firm. Careem is a Middle East e-hailing firm, and Uber is the global one, right? So we had Uber at a global e-hailing firm in Dubai, and we had Careem, which was a local one. Careem just got taken over by Uber, by the way. Local firm, and the ruler of Dubai did not allow e-hailing to be implemented in Dubai because they did not want the taxi drivers, and the taxi company is owned by the government. There are a lot of revenue, and they did not want to lose the revenue, right? But we just went through the process, and there are decisions being taken that 90% of the traffic will be on e-hail, 25% of the trips will not be just e-hail, it will be autonomous, driverless, right? 90% of the passenger transport will not be work related. That is in 2050, right? It's a bit stretch, because the thinking is the technology will allow people to have virtual meetings, able to have the feeling of meeting people without being physically present, and hence your travel will be more to entertain, meet people, see places. It will not be to do work. So 90% of the transport will not be related to work. It is more for leisure and feeling and entertainment and team spirit and all of that. You don't have to travel for work by 2050. And one more input of the private car ownership will not be for transport. There will be shared vehicles for people. When everything is digitalized, the car will come to you automatically and it will take you where you want to go. And this is again predicted for 2050, 2060, right? Can anybody in the audience tell me what will be the economic benefit of having such a thing of e-hailing implemented in a country, or in India or in Dubai? I just wanted to trigger some discussion instead of me giving a monologue. Can somebody want to attempt and tell me what may be the benefits of having a company like Ola instead of the regular taxi driving in a country? Just attempt to give me an answer.
So maybe
yes,
the accidents, number of accidents may be reduced. Road
okay,
accidents.
Very good. What else?
Then
The safety might be enhanced.
Sorry?
Safety
Safety
of the
okay,
travelers.
Safety of the travelers will be enhanced. Accidents will be reduced. What else benefit do you think is there by having Ola instead of normal taxis?
the traffic congestions may be reduced.
What do you think is the economic benefit?
I think the most economic benefit will be the saving of labor and the cost
Saving of?
associated with it. Labor cost.
Saving of? Sorry?
We can cut down on labor so much.
Labor. You're talking about the drivers and all of that, right?
Yes. As of like the human resource has to be entirely changed in such a way, because AI is coming into role. That's why you can save a lot of cost in that. That's
So you're talking about significant savings on the number of taxis and the number of drivers and the servicing of the taxis and all of that, right?
Yes.
Let me the answers that you just gave me is exactly the same answers even the ruler of Dubai and his economic advisor gave them. And this was not a valid reason for them to approve Uber or Careem in Dubai. It was not sufficient for them. Because I'm just giving you examples, because we should not, when we look at business models, we have to really drive very deep into the economic construct and the economic benefits to a country to really understand what we are missing by not digitalizing a business, right? And I can tell you something, I have asked this question at least in 10 gatherings like this, and everybody comes back and tells me exactly the same reason, saying labor reduction, accident reduction, safety, number of cars are reduced and all of that. As I said, even the ruler of Dubai said the same thing, his economic advisor said the same thing, and they did not approve Uber in Dubai. They wanted to continue with the taxi, saying that it is okay, we don't want that. But let me give you some statistics on this, and then you will understand what I'm telling you. Do you know what is the occupancy of regular taxis before Ola came? The occupancy of regular taxis was 50 to 55%. That means 45% of the taxis were roaming around without producing any economic benefit. There was no passenger inside that. The driver was looking for a passenger, right? Now, with Ola coming up or Uber coming up, the occupancy from 55% has gone up to 90%. So there is a 35% reduction in the number of cars that are required, right? And that is what you think that is going to benefit. No. 35% of the road and parking infrastructure can be reduced. The economic benefit of reducing the road infrastructure by 35% runs into billions and billions of dollars. And that is where Dubai got convinced that forget the saving the taxi drivers, that is not the point. And I will give you a very, very surprising outcome when we did the 2030-2071 study for Dubai. From 2020 till 2050, 2060, 2070, they were planning to increase or double the road infrastructure. Now, with the population doubling, number one. So I just introduced one concept about e-hailing, in which 35% of the taxis or the cars can be reduced because you are eliminating the cars which is running around without passengers. The occupancy is 90%. So to service the same number of passenger trips, you need 35% lesser cars. Keep that in mind. When you bring in, I did not introduce the concept of autonomous driving, that is driverless driving. When you have a driverless driving, the throughput of a road is 2 to 3 times, because you don't need to leave the space between two cars, because when the machine takes over, the machine is able to drive a car at 80 kilometer speed or 120 kilometer per hour speed, not having a gap of 3 to 4 car lengths between the cars, and the same road can push through 2 to 3 times the number of cars on the same road, which means for the same traffic, you need 1/3 of the road infrastructure in the country. You see where I'm coming from? And this, I'm just giving an example so that all of you can very quickly understand, but this can be applied to almost every single industry that has high capex. You can take it to shipping, you can take it to hospital, you can take it to real estate, you can take it to parking lots. The efficiency improvement is not about reducing, it is about reducing the manpower, the driver that is fooling around and not creating economic value, but it is about reducing the usage of infrastructure, which is extremely costly, and hence reducing the requirement of investment, and hence increasing the throughput of the GDP and increasing the per capita GDP of the country and the per capita income for the population, by which people become rich. So I know I'm going through a lot of thought process here, but the economic benefits is extremely high and fundamental than what we all think and evaluate in such situations. It is not about just saving labor. It is fundamentally improving the efficiency of the infrastructure, right? I will skip 1 or 2 slides so that we can quickly get into a Q&A. I wish we can have some time for Q&A. Another quick example. We just did a study for a hospital. The hospital came back and asked Arthur D. Little, saying that, can you help us with the hospital because there's social distancing, we need to have patient management. We analyzed for 5 days all the patients that are coming in. And the data that I have presented is the data that we have already implemented in May 2020. 30% of the visits were not even required. They're just coming, bullshit, not required. You don't have to come to the hospital. Just because there's no social distancing, you're just fooling around, you went to the hospital, have some fever and some stupid ailment, that was not required. The moment social distancing is there, you have to wear a mask, the hospital doesn't want people, suddenly you don't even have to go to the hospital, you got cured automatically, right? 35% of the treatment can be done remotely. You don't have to visit the doctor. On the phone, it could have been solved. 50% of the time in the hospital, or 50% of the bed space, can be reduced. What I'm saying is, just one simple hospital, because of COVID, they changed the whole business model. They could have done it before. I don't know why they waited for COVID. 35% reduction in the overall healthcare cost, providing the same healthcare provisioning. That means the cost to people like us to treat us can be less by 35%, or we spend the same amount and get more healthcare benefits, right? But look at the stupidity of what people were doing. We required COVID-19 to come in to push us all to change the business model, and suddenly there are 35 to 40% efficiency improvement, not only providing the same services, better quality services, right? I repeat, 30% of the visits were not required. 35% of the treatment could have been done remotely. Like, for example, why did they have the thermometer stuck into your ears and mouth to take your temperature? Suddenly with COVID, you don't have to touch your body, right? Look at how much efficiency has come through. You don't have to clean it. You don't feel worried about infections. Suddenly you had COVID to come in to suddenly say that you don't have to touch the person with the stupid thermometer. You can just measure it with contactless, right? Again, COVID came in and they had to push people to do this, right? So if you think about it, it's again the main point that I mentioned, that people are not applying their mind. They're resisting to change, to take benefits of what is happening. And hence you continue your stupid business model, wasting a lot of money, wasting a lot of resources, and you don't have economic benefits, right? One more quick example, real estate developer. We just went through the whole process. I will just summarize this in 5 seconds. Identify this is known, it may be implemented in many buildings in Bangalore or Bombay and Delhi, but just to quickly summarize, implemented already within a month in a real estate in Dubai. The moment the visitor comes into the entrance, the visitor is identified, which building he's staying is identified, because this is an area with 50 buildings in Dubai, right? So it's not one gate into one building, it's one gate into a parking lot with 50 buildings. He's guided to the available most convenient parking lot. The lift, the system knows which floor he's staying, which floor he has parked, and hence where the lift has to come. His home lighting and temperature is adjusted to that person's requirement. The curtains are adjusted because in Dubai the heat is quite high, so it is better to automatically close the curtains so that you stop the sun from coming in and heating up the room, so the ACs can be efficient. You can monitor the utility consumption and leakage. There is 35% of energy cost saving, 35% of parking space saving, because in the past the parking was allocated to a person. Now it is not. It is dynamically allocated, and it will give you an available slot closest to your apartment lift. So 35% parking space saved. You are more happy because you always get what is closest available, irrespective of where your stupid parking slot is, and there is tremendous saving. Again, I don't know why we needed COVID-19 to come in to push through all of this. They did this because of COVID-19. It may sound stupid, because they did not want people at the reception checking people, opening the lift, opening the gate, checking on. They did not want. They automated the whole thing. There is only one person for the whole building now, and then they have all the savings, right? One more example, you will not believe. There is a company called Simio in Spain and Germany, which a customer cannot talk to anybody. It's impossible. Everything is automated. You go to the internet, activate the line. You have an eSIM. eSIM is activated automatically. The phone starts working. You can select any package, activate any package. If you have a problem, go to the internet, you chat with them. They will solve it for you. 10 times better customer service, 38% lower price. Standard, simple telecom services, right? Again, eliminate people as much as required, change your business model. Customers cannot talk to anybody, impossible. There is no call center, right? But customers are 10 times happier, 38% lower price, and they're still making more money than regular telcos, right? I will skip some of these slides. Again, I'm just summarizing this, yeah. In summary, what I'm trying to tell you is, it is not rocket science. I don't think that whatever I said is new to anybody. I just gave you some data to get it deeper into your mind and the benefits. I don't think I said anything new in the whole conversation. There is tremendous, if you implement digital business model, there is a capacity reduction of at least 20 to 30% in transport infrastructure. It can be office space, it can be restaurant space. I have case studies on restaurants. I don't want to get into all of that. Hospital space, call center, operating expenditure can be reduced by 35 to 15%. There are many companies who have looked at the various product categories. They could eliminate 10% of the product categories with zero impact on the revenue, not 0.1% revenue impact. It's not zero, right? So they rationalized the product categories, SKUs, and reduced 10% of them because of COVID. They did not want to service it. Whichever company is very good in digital sales, the revenue increased by 15 to 20%, assuming your competitor did not pick up. Otherwise, if everybody increases, then it doesn't work like that, right? Because that means the overall sector has to grow by 15%. So when I'm talking about somebody growing at 15 to 20%, it is assuming that he's becoming better in online and digital sales versus your competitor, right? And if you implement all of this, if there is a savings of 30 to 40%, obviously the value of your business goes up by 30 to 40%, right? Okay, I will skip the slide because I think I covered most of the points that is mentioned on the slide in the examples that I gave. I can just give you one more example which just came out as a footnote. The profitability of R30 Little has doubled in COVID-19. I don't think you will believe it, but let me explain to you why it has doubled. In consulting, the travel expenditure of taking flights and staying in hotels, the consultants are spoiled for no reason. I don't know why they should be given costlier flights and 5-star hotels and all of that. That should be, first of all, should have been eliminated even before COVID-19. But the travel and expenditure is equivalent to the salary cost. So let us say you have 100 as a revenue and 20 as a profit. 40 was your salary and 40 was your expenditure. That 40 expenditure got eliminated. So for the 100 revenue, instead of having 80 expenditure, you have 40 expenditure. You pay the same salary. You people are not staying in hotels. You are not traveling. You save 40. So out of the 100 revenue, your cost is 40. Your profit instead of 20 is now 60. Not only that, this is only on the cost saving in which the profit has more than doubled. In a day, when I was meeting clients, I could have done only 3 to 4 meetings. Today, I'm able to do 6 to 7 meetings because I don't have to travel for a meeting. Obviously, I'm giving only one part of the story because there is another part in which it is good to meet people and all of that. I may not be able to get business from new customers because they will not know you. You need to meet them face to face and develop a relationship to get business. So what I said is not applicable for a new customer because trying to sell consulting business over a phone or a webinar doesn't work. But at least for your existing customers who knows you, who trust you, you can double the profit for doing the same business, as an example for consulting, right? So I leave it at that and I open the floor for questions. I'm very happy to take questions and answer if I can. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for making the keynote address very interactive. Your insights on the 4 ideas, digital transformation of businesses, and the example of Dubai taxi drivers, as well as the example of Simeo, where there is no customer interactions, all were very new thoughts for us, sir. So thank you very much. Now, let us go ahead with the question answer session. The first query is presented by Surabhi. Surabhi, please go on.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Go ahead. I cannot hear you.
Myself, Surabhi Kumar. So my question is, sir, can we have your view on the future of data management practices, controls, and outcomes? Like, what will be more important in defining success?
What will be more important in designing?
In defining
I could
success.
not. In defining success.
Yes.
Wow, that is a very, very heavy question. Yeah. If I want to answer it very simple, it is that you have to always reinvent your business, because what normally happens in this, I have seen that in my entire consulting career, right? People tend to continue doing what they have been doing and they try to change their business model only when something goes wrong. See, that is why you have new companies like Amazon, Google, all these new companies which starts from scratch are able to kill companies who have been established for 50 and 100 years. And this is 90% of the cases. 90% of the cases, these are very new companies who are able to kill established companies. And that really sounds stupid, right? Because you have companies who have 50-60% of the market share, lot of money, lot of capability. Technically, nobody should be able to beat you. Technically, you should have more insights because you have been running the business for the last 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. Why is that a new person is able to come and beat you within a year? It is fundamentally because we are not willing to change our thinking. Every day, maybe every day is too much. Maybe every month, you should relook at what you're doing. Is this the right way to conduct the business? Is there any activity that I'm doing is it required today? Because it was required in the past because of regulatory requirements, because there are a lot of things which are driven by regulation, right? Safety requirement, business model, technology not available, customer profile changing, and all of that. So a lot of things keeps changing, but we continue doing the same business. But when somebody is going to evaluate the business fresh, he doesn't have any constraint. He's going to draw it from a clean sheet of paper. And that is exactly why new companies are able to beat old companies within a month. Why? Because he doesn't have any baggage in his head. He doesn't have the stupid 50 years of experience in his mind, which is corrupting him. I think experience, people talk about experience is good. I really think that experience is really bad. I think it is best to get fresh students like you to run companies today. I'm not trying to make you feel nice. I'm really telling you that in consulting, when we bring in students from MBA schools, they actually give you the best ideas. People like me with 20 years experience come up with the same idiotic logic that we applied 20 years back. We cannot come up with ideas. Our brains are screwed up in completely, right? So, and you have to think like that. Everybody has to think like fresh, young, intelligent people. Open up your mind, rethink about what you're doing for your business, and try to redesign or remodel your business based on what is happening. And if you do that, a newcomer cannot beat you, because if the newcomer and yourself are thinking the same way, you have more resources, you already have customers, you have more knowledge. A new player cannot beat you. Impossible, right? So if a new player is beating you, it is just because you are stupid. As simple as that, right? So for me, it is very simple. Nothing, no rocket science. Just once in a while, I don't want to say what should be the frequency. I can say it once in a month, once in a quarter, once in a year. It all depends on industries and sectors and what is happening in the country and the regulation. But every time, relook your business from a clean piece of paper. Look at, if I'm going to start the business today and I have no constraints, how will I run my business? And then you go and look at what you're doing and change everything. If you don't do it, somebody will come and kill you anyway, right? So you don't have an option. Yeah. Thank you.
The next
Thank you,
query
sir.
the next query is presented by Jeffy. Jeffy, please go
Yes,
on.
yes.
Good morning, sir. Sir, my query is, in the post-COVID influx of digital data, what should be the coping strategy of companies dealing with this?
What should be the strategy of companies dealing with digital data?
Yes, sir.
See, again, I can pull out few percentage. Let me tell you, I think this could have been easily answered by Suresh Prabhu, who again my classmate who presented yesterday, because he is heavily into digital data analytics and all of that. Maybe if he's on the call, maybe he can even give an answer better than what I'm giving. Maybe. See, first of all, you need to be collecting the right data and ensuring that the data you have is correct. Let me tell you, the biggest problem is not today. I'm not talking about the future. Today is not about using the data, even though 90% of the value is coming from applying analytics, artificial intelligence on the data that you have. But today, all the companies that I have seen, they don't collect, maintain, and clean the data. And that is 90% of the problem they're facing today. So you apply artificial intelligence onto a wrong data, you get a stupid outcome, and then you say digitalization is not working. Digitalization has to work. If somebody is saying digitalization is not working, artificial intelligence is not working, data analytics is not working, it's a completely wrong, stupid statement. It is stupid, it is wrong. It is because you don't have the right data, or you have not cleaned the data, or you have not collected the data in the right granularity, right? So first of all, you need to understand, you should not collect too much of data also, because then you have to store this data, analyze the data, and then that is not also good. So first of all, and you have to think very much in the future, right? 15, 20, 30 years from now, what granularity is required for my data, right? And you should start collecting it right now, right? And then you analyze the data, build in artificial intelligence, data analytics, and all of that. Number one. Number two, the first issue that I mentioned is about the correctness of the data that you have. The second, and the frequency and the granularity at which we collect it. 90% of the companies that I have seen, for the same parameter, they don't have the same data set. If you ask a telco how many subscribers you have, you ask marketing versus network versus IT versus sales channel versus the CEO versus the board member, they will give you 6 different numbers. 6 different numbers, right? So you need to be very clear that every item in your data, in your database, there should be only one instance of the truth. And everybody should agree to that instance of the truth, because many strategy discussions I have had, before I can even analyze and give an outcome, 90% of the time the bloody idiots are questioning the data, and then you cannot do anything. They're trying to play politics, obviously, because they don't want to do anything. That is the reality on life. But they're saying is also correct, right? So you need to ensure that you have the right granularity. There is only one single truth of the data, and the whole company has to agree to that single truth of the data. Then you continue with the very sophisticated data analytics, artificial intelligence, and robotics and all of that, right? But don't ignore the initial part, because that is the basics. And if you don't get it, all the sophisticated things that we are talking about, even digitalization that I'm talking about, will be completely stupid, right? It will not work. It is actually worse than manual, because if the data is wrong, the computer will 100% give you a wrong output, because computer is working on the data that is given. So if the data is wrong, it is better to have human intervention, because human is intelligent, more intelligent than the computer. So if the wrong data is wrong, he will have a sense that the data is wrong, and he will take the right decision. So if the data is not correct, don't automate it, let people handle it, right? I don't know whether it answered your question, but at least these are the observations I have, and where companies have to concentrate when you're trying to digitize your business. Get the right data, right granularity, single instance of truth. This may sound very normal to all of you, but this is 90% of the problems with the companies that I have worked with. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
All right. With that, we'll be winding up the question and answer session. Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for taking your time out of your busy schedule, sir. It really means a lot to us. All right. So
thank you very much. Again, really a pleasure to have you all on this discussion. Feel free to contact me. I will share this material through the organizers to all of you. There is a lot of material available on the website, and feel free to use it, and you can ask questions, and we will be very happy to entertain discussions. Yeah. Again, thank you very much. Really a pleasure to be on this discussion with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.